Hello everyone, I'm your host Thomas28 and welcome back to FTB Skies 2 Aero. Let's get right back into it. Now since last time I did a little bit more AE2, did a little bit more with the bees, not too much. I mostly just added a silky bee over here so we get string because I wanted to make these smart cables which take wool, which is really annoying, but now we have a constant supply of silky comb, which is nice. I just need to upgrade the centrifuge to go faster, not much I can do there yet, because it takes items from Mechanism, which we're going to solve this episode. I also built this guy, the ME wireless connector, and connected it to the storage downstairs, which has all of the ores, so we can access them from the terminal. But I should have realized this. You know, it's said that when you connect them with distance in between, the power cost is not linear. In fact, it might be exponential, because we're currently using about 240 AE per tick. If I just remove the wireless connector, it drops to about 70. So just a single wireless connector, which is only connected to something like 100 blocks away, is costing like nearly 150 AE per tick, which is crazy. Which is why, this episode, we're going to delve into a mod that I feel does not get enough love, and it's going to be Oritech. Now I have played with... oh, I did not want to click that. Oh, the wiki opens by clicking this. Interesting. Now, you've probably run into Oritech before, but I think most people only ever use Oritech for the particle accelerator and then maybe the soul enchanting, and not much else. People don't really use it, you know, to handle all the other processing. In fact, I think most people just use it for the particle accelerator and then soul enchanting and then whatever is needed to progress in whatever mod pack they're playing, and they just end up using Mechanism or whatever processing they have. And I thought it'd be a good time to get through it, because we can make a nuclear reactor, which should carry us through the mid-game until we can get to a late-game power solution. Now, to get started, we need to make some motors, which are pretty easy to make. As you can see, it's just nickel and steel, so I did go ahead and make a good amount of steel before we did this. As you can see, we have nearly 24... oh no, this is nickel. We have over 200 steel, but a ton of nickel from storage. And now we can use that to make one of these. And we can use these to make a machine frame, I believe they're called, or machine core? Core. Yep, there we go, core. They come in 7 different flavors, ultimate all the way down to primitive. We're going to start with a primitive core, which is pretty simple. And this is also why I like Oritech. Out of a lot of different mods, machine mods I've played with, and it also gives us some basic cores, is because of the modularity of the machines. So as you can see, if we follow this, it should get us through like most of it. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't include some of like the extra stuff, but it does do the main important ones. So we're going to make a foundry next, which is also pretty simple. Oh, we need electrum. We can make it in the furnace here with silver and gold. So now that we have 2 stacks of electrum, we can go ahead and craft this guy. We just need 1 cauldron, and can make our foundry, which is pretty neat. So now it does take a little bit of power, so we'll just place this guy right here for now. You can see when you place it, it shows how much space it takes and how many cores you need. So if you just right click it with the cores in hand, it places it, and if you right click, it builds the machine. And that's why I think it's so nifty. So you can see there it's still the cores, but then it's the foundry, and that's the foundry. You can see default, evenly sided default, which is pretty nice. So default is just, if I get an item in, spread it evenly, as you can see, from left to right. Fill evenly, new items are always put into the lowest matching slot, and item interaction side lets you put it based on the sides, as you can see there. So down is extract only, up is input only, north south is slot 0, and west east is slot 1. Pretty neat. And then you can see add-ons. So add-ons are where this thing comes into play over here. So if we take a look at the quest book, machine customization, the add-on extender, which will take duradium, which we don't have yet. This is going to let you extend the add-ons, but for now you can actually just craft the add-ons. So I would think I want machine efficiency, which we cannot craft, as it takes plastic, carbon fiber, and carbon... no, these are just regular plated blocks, which are not that expensive, as you can see. It's usually just a mixture of stuff, or if you use the assembler, it's a lot cheaper to make it. But they are more of a mid-game thing. For now we get $10, and we can move up to the assembler. A little bit more complicated, but not too difficult to craft. So you can see copper reinforced plating is just steel, copper, and stone. If we put in the assembler, You can make 8 of it at a time using plastic sheet, and plastic sheet can be made through fluid separation with the centrifuge, which is something we can craft. So let's go ahead and make the centrifuge here. 3 bottles. We're going to need some more motors. Just store those in there. And 2 blocks of iron to make a centrifuge. Now this guy does take 1 block. Let's see, I don't really want to use the primitive. I don't have a use for the primitive one, but I don't really want to use it since it's really, really low. Machine core. So we'll just use a basic core, which is quite cheap, lapis and copper. And we'll place this guy right next to our foundry. Right there, right click, and build. I love the animations on these, they're so sweet. Now this guy I actually have to move it, I forgot about that. And I have to move it for a very specific reason. The reason, as you can see, the add-on slots are on the side here, and specifically for the quest book, it mentions that in order to make carbon fiber strands, we need to build a fluid add-on. Or actually, do we need... No, carbon fiber... No, you can just put coal dust into this. Coal dust can be made in a fragmenter, or the pulverizer. I believe the pulverizer is the cheaper one, so we're going to make a pulverizer, which is, you know, as the name implies, for pulverizing. We're going to make another copper reinforced plate. Make 2 more motors in order to make this, and this one doesn't require anything, it just works. Oh, pulverizer. Let's see, what's the request for that? There was, right here. So now if we grab some coal out of here, coal GR, we really need to amp this up, we're very, very low. Put this inside. Yeah, I guess that doesn't matter. I was thinking, oh, should I process the GR back into coal? But it works out exactly the same, so it doesn't really do anything. But now that we have the coal dust, throw this in here, and we can turn it into our fiber strands, which will let us get closer to... I forget what we were making. We were making something. Let's see. Assembler is going to take this stuff. That's all. How do we get to adamant? Adamant is diamond and nickel. Okay, that's actually very easy. Or you can throw it into the foundry and it'll alloy it for you. So if you take diamond and nickel, which should be in abundance here, yep, diamond and nickel, you can throw it into the foundry and it will turn it into adamant. Now for now, this machine is going to use up 128 RF per tick. And I'm going to save some power here just by using our create way to alloy it instead. Now, there is the optional quest for the cybernetic augmentation chamber, which is really cool. I really like this machine. It essentially lets you upgrade your character with stuff like longer reach, free armor. I don't think there's free health, but I think there is like underwater breathing and like efficiency stuff. And it's a pretty cheap machine. The most expensive thing is the dubious container, as you can see. It takes plastic, Enderic compound, and adamant. But once you build it, it's pretty funky fresh. Now, the only difficulty here is to actually build the augments and research them is very, very expensive, taking like many stacks of items, so we're going to save that for later. For now, though, we can continue down the refinery path because it can process fluid mixtures. It has 1 item input, 1 fluid input, and between 1 to 3 fluid outputs. Now, then you do need these refinery chamber modules if you want to build like the full-size one, but it's also pretty simple to craft. So now if we take this, we just need some motors. We're going to need another cauldron. Oritech loves its cauldrons, and now the refinery chamber module, which is a little bit more expensive, but we should be able to get these. Let's see, silicon, portable tanks, fluid pipes, which will take more silicon. Not that bad though, not that bad. It's actually pretty easy to get the silicon, as this is just a smelting recipe with Certus quartz, or nether quartz. And there we go, 1 refinery. Now for this guy, do I have more cables actually? I don't think I have more cables near. Cable. There we go, basic universal cable. We'll extend it out. Actually this is not really a good spot for it, but we'll build it here just to show it. So this guy is going to take 9 machine cores. Let's go ahead and craft these. I should probably add an auto craft for these, but I'll do that later. Machine core. I'll do it later when we want to work to the ultimate one. As you can see here, it's very expensive, but it is the best one. So for now, we're going to need, how many of these? 9. 9 of these. And actually, does this take power? I actually don't recall. And it is quite big. Looks kind of like a Tetris piece. So if you do that, you can build the refinery. Now, do you need power? It does show power, so I'm guessing you need it. So let's see, what can we build in the refinery? Tainted refinery is over here, so that's kind of like the last tier. But if we take a look at the refinery, you can generally make some fuels out of this. So refinery, refining, tainted refinery. Interesting, but we're not there yet. So you can see, Oritech does have its own ore duplication, or triplication in this case, using Sheol fire, which turns into lava. You can turn raw ores into triple. Sugar solution turns into ethanol and water. We want something that can make power, which I'm guessing is going to come in some way, shape, or form. So now that we have a refinery built, we can move on to the thing that required adamant, the assembler. Another pretty simple craft. We're going to need 2 crafters. I pretty much never make these, because they're pretty much like a vanilla redstone item, isn't it? Let's see. Craft those. Actually, I need 2 of these to make 2 crafters. 1 more motor. And now we have... Wait, the assembler? Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. This is not an assembler, this is a foundry. And to make the assembler, we'll take 3 machine cores. And we'll plug in this guy right over here. Boop. The assembler. Pretty fancy. This one has 4 slots. Machine quality 2. So as you can see there, machine quality 2 means you can use 2 add-on extenders, which is based on the tier of the machine cores. So if I use the primitive, it would have a machine quality of 1, and then it goes all the way up to, you know, the ultimate, which lets you overclock the machines. It's going to take a while to get there, as we need the final resources, but we're slowly inching towards it. Now it looks like once we have the assembler, it lets us go straight to the nuclear reactor control panel, but I was looking, and I don't think we have a way to get uranium. As you can see here, there is a budding uranium geore, but that takes liquid uranium, and it looks like the only way I can get uranium right now is via washing. Ah, here it is, found it. I had to click through a bunch of stuff. We can wash redstone dust into small uranium dust, combine that into uranium dust, and then melt that very slowly into liquid uranium, and then pour that over the geore in order to make uranium. So it's actually not that bad, because once we have the uranium geore, we have infinite fuel for the reactor, but I've never actually built the reactor before, so I'm not quite sure what goes into it. I'm guessing it's not that expensive, but first let's go down this path here to get to the atomic forge, because I believe this is the final machine you need in Oritech to actually craft like all of the materials. And the fuel generator is right next to this one, the power of the end. Now this one, while it says the power of the end, mostly just takes ender pearls, which are made via ender pearls, via crushing them. But it is funny how Oritech doesn't have a way to crush ender pearls. Or actually, I think I'm just clicking the wrong thing. Ender dust, these are the same. Ender dust, why are there 2 for ender dust, making the exact same thing? Oh, here we go. So you can pulverize the ender pearl directly into a Enderic compound. Okay, so I think I figured out what I need to do to get ourselves to plastic, using just Oritech. So, we're going to use a centrifuge to mix water and polymer resin to produce 2 plastic sheets. To make the polymer resin, we're going to use fluid separation to take Oritech biofuel and mix it with sand in order to make the polymer resin. And then we can use another centrifuge with water and biomass to make the biofuel. And we can get the biomass by pulverizing hay bales for 16 biomass, or packed wheat. These are mostly the same. Or actually, no, this is cheaper, because isn't a hay bale 9? And this is only 4, so it's actually much cheaper to do that. So we're going to need a couple centrifuges for the whole process. Then it should be quite simple since we already have the other machines. It's just going to take a lot of power. And it looks like right now we're using more power than we are generating, because both of my simple coal generators have 0 surplus. So first, get a bunch of wheat. Then convert all of your wheat into a cheese wheel of wheat. Then take your packed wheat and throw it into the pulverizer to turn it into biofuel, or in this case, I believe it's called biomass. So now we're going to provide this guy with water. Now here's the funny thing about the centrifuge. If you want to give it fluids, you need to give it this guy, the fluid add-on. So now you can see it has the tanks. And now the mechanical pipe connects. So now we can attach our sink and then just use this to configure. So annoying when it doesn't let you see through the block. Configure this to pull. And now this is going to stay full of water. So now we can throw in our biomass in order to produce biofuel. So now that we're making biofuel, we just have to add another centrifuge right next to it. And it's not the best placement because they can't share add-ons like that. But this is going to work for now. We just need to set up it initially, and then later on I can tear it down and then add the add-ons if we really need it. I don't think we're going to need it though. Oh, but this needs to process the biofuel with the sand, so it's also going to need a fluid add-on. So just add that to the side, and now if we do this, we could just grab our configurator, set you to pull the biofuel out into this machine, add in our sand, and now it's getting to work combining the biofuel with the sand in order to make our polymer resin. And now that we have polymer resin, we can use another one with more water in order to make plastic sheet. Now you can make it twice as efficient if you use mineral slurry, but since we're processing all of our ores from geores instead of the ore itself, we can't actually produce mineral slurry. Later on, you could use Oritech to produce ores and then use the mineral slurry, but I don't think I'm going to do that, because I think at that point, it doesn't really matter where we get the resources from, as long as we're getting them from somewhere. For now, though, we are going to need one more centrifuge. Now, if we add in our final centrifuge, and I don't have any more cables, so we'll just put this guy... Add more cables, because then I could put you here, add this, add in our fluid add-on, because then I could just add this here, mechanical pipe, so it's under, and configure you. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. There we go. Have to pull the water out there. Get the water, take our polymer resin, throw that in here. So now let me just grab some more basic universal cable. Universal cable. Universal cable. Just steel and redstone. Very simple. And we'll wire this. I guess we could just wire it like so. It's not too bad. Because then we just have to supply the biomass in here, pump it out into here. This one needs to be supplied with sand, pull out the resin to put over here, and then the resin mixes with the water to make our plastic sheet. And then we're all set. That also unlocks stuff with Pneumaticraft that I'm not going to get into. I don't like Pneumaticraft. It's a very interesting mod. I just don't like it. And now that we have plastic, we can actually work on making the Enderic laser. So the first thing we're going to need are some processing units, which is carbon fiber strand, plastic, electrum, and redstone. Throw all that in there, and get 3. And the only reason I'm not setting up the automation for this yet is because I feel like if I try to request too many items at once, we're going to run out of power. Because I think, you know, we don't really have the power generation for this quite yet. We're running everything off of 2 simple coal generators. It's not really, you know, the best. But now we can make this guy the target designator. It is very important you make a target designator before you work with the Enderic laser. The Enderic laser will break literally everything if it is not targeting something unbreakable. So then after crushing some ender pearls, we get some Enderic compound, mix it with adamant and our carbon fiber strands in order to make the Enderic lens. Honestly, as you could tell, Oritech does not have super expensive crafts, at least until the late game. So it's actually not too bad to get through it, as you can see here. So now we can take all of those and make ourselves one Enderic laser. And let me throw all this inside, don't need that. We do need the machine casing. And the neat thing about the Enderic laser is that it can power things in Oritech. Most notably, the Atomic Forge. The Atomic Forge can only be powered by the Enderic laser. So you do need it in order to run the forge, but it can also be used to make the growth crystals grow faster. So we can mine even faster. And they also mine it too, which is really nice. Because I was thinking of using AE2 to automate it using the, what are they called? Annihilation planes. But since we're going to be making a ton of power, we could just use the Enderic lasers to speed up their growth instead. Not really sure which is better. I would have to like look at the numbers to see. And now that we've finished with the power at the end, we can finally get up to the fuel generator, which should be able to get us a lot of power. Now the question is, what are we going to use to power this? So you see Oritech does have basic generators, but this guy is overall pretty cheap. Enderic lens, reinforced casing, basic generators, honestly not too bad, not too bad. And a basic generator is magnetic coil and furnaces, which is really cheap. It still bothers me that I have to make campfires first to make furnaces. Like, it's such a weird thing that that is in the pack. I get that it's to gate how quickly you can get a furnace. I just don't like it. Put it all together and make one fuel generator. Now this guy does take 17 machine cores. It's very expensive. For now though, we're just going to use the one above primitive, basic, or actually can we make improved? Improved only costs carbon fiber, which is crushed coal, which makes it very cheap. Advanced takes carbon plating block and endurance compound. Carbon plating block is steel, plastic, and reinforced carbon. Reinforced carbon takes refinery with naphtha or sulfuric naphtha. Okay, so it seems like really I'm going to stick with these ones. They're the cheapest. And how many do I need? 17. So as you can see, it's a lot of copper. Pretty copper heavy. And let's put this guy right here. Not a bad spot. Not a great spot, but could be worse. And make the fuel generator. I like how it just grows into place. It's like when you threw those little pill, what are they called? Sponge dinosaurs into the water to watch them grow. But now we have it. And this guy also accepts add-ons. So you can make these extremely efficient. Now, does it show the recipes? It does not. But I think if we look at the fuel generator here, fuel generator, there we go. You can see the types of fuel. Now, usually in Oritech, I believe the best one is turbo fuel. And to make turbo fuel, we just have to mix fluxite with crude oil, or diesel in this case, in a centrifuge. But actually, we can probably get around that just by using a mixer, because this is essentially free since we're using SU. But I would need crude oil, and I don't think we can get crude oil from Oritech. We could get it from oily combs, but then we would need an oily bee, and I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Let me look at oily bee. Oily bee. This bee is nowhere to be found on land. Go fishing in deep waters. Can just be bred. Bee fishing. Okay. Oh, I remember. This was the bee I couldn't get. So we can just get an oily bee if I go fishing. It would be annoying, but I can do it. Now we're back to the nether to steal a piglin. So I can do some bartering. Yoink. Oh, that doesn't work? Maybe the golden one? Only passive. Doesn't work. Well, okay, then trade. No, come back. Trade. Because I need a wither rose. Oh, I need to turn off this guy. And finally, got one. It's like a 1% chance. Bunch of the other useless stuff I don't need, but now that we have a wither rose, we can produce infinite crude oil. Alright, so mission accomplished. We have one oily bee. That is pretty average. But that's fine, because using our productivity omega upgrade and the baby upgrade, we should be able to get more. And now that we have oily comb, we can use the heated centrifuge to turn it into crude oil. So I'm going to need one of these. Oh, but I forgot I can't make these. Sometimes I'm astounded by my own genius. So we still don't have this guy, the atomic forge. So I cannot make mechanism logistical transporters, but excessive utilities does have an item transfer node. So now we have oily comb block getting produced. Using an AU2 subnet, we import it into a molecular assembler to turn it back into oily comb. The oily comb is thrown into the centrifuge where it is spun into crude oil. And now that it's spun into crude oil, all we need are fluxite crystals to turn it into turbo fuel. And then once we have turbo fuel, we can throw it into our generator to produce a ton of power. How much power? I'm not actually sure, but it does last for 16 seconds, which is pretty good. We just need it to last essentially, not last actually. I'm not worried about it lasting a long time. We just need it to, how do I say this? We want the power production from our generator to be enough based on our rate of oil production, which, since we're turning crude oil into turbo fuel, should last a pretty long time compared to what we need. So now, to complete the process, we just need fluxite crystals, which is going to take our Enderic laser. And this guy does need a machine core, so let me grab one of those. Machine core. Machine core. Like so. And I did throw in the baby upgrade in here, in case you didn't see it. So I'm hoping that eventually we'll get some more oily bees, which I think is what this is doing, right? That might be what it's for. Or actually, maybe we need at least 2 oily bees in here. I'm not sure. Not sure if it works with just one. I don't remember. Now, in order to make fluxite crystals, we do need a budding amethyst, which we can make through a variety of ways. Since I had the molecular metamorpher, I decided to use that. So now we have a budding amethyst. And let's see, since we need it to come in right here, but it's already next to this cable, it probably doesn't matter where I put it too much. So, we can put this guy here, add you, and then if we put this guy here, just take your target designator and a lever. Can't forget the lever. The lever is very important for turning it on and off, just in case. Like, it's a fail-safe. Grab you. Boop. Levels normal. Machine is operating as normal. Boop. Stopped. Perfect. So now if we right-click, shift right-click. How do I do this? Position stored. There we go. You shift right-click the target, and then right-click the laser, and now it's focused, and now if we turn it on, it gets to work. Now as you can see, it does eat up 128 RF per tick, which is quite a lot. But then it starts growing the budding amethyst, as you can see there, and then it harvests it. Now you might notice that it only harvests the one nearest. It's ignoring the other ones, which is important to note, because that means you just get rid of these. You can block off the other sides to save space, because you don't really need those to grow. And I'll block those off using... what do I have as a block that's not ugly? I guess we can use planks. Works for me. Use some trapdoors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop. Turn it back on. And then it stores it inside. So let's see, we want to store this in our AE network, so we can just go like this, 1, 2, 3, and then put an import bus on that to store them in the network. Now the fluxite goes inside and mixes with the crude oil and produces our turbo fuel. And now if we take our mechanical pipe and pipe it out, let's see, that's going to mix, so we want it on this side. We need a little bit more mechanical pipes. Or you could store it in the AE network, it's your choice. I try to keep everything outside of the AE network unless I absolutely have to have it inside, which usually doesn't happen too much. Put that right here. And now if we configure this to pull, it runs 2 buckets of turbo fuel, generating maximum usage 8.19, so 8200 RF per tick, maximum transfer 32. I can't actually tell how much. Basic universe, oh wait. Gotta do this. Pull. There we go. So now it's actually pulling out. And, I guess we're just producing 8,000 RF per tick, which means these guys should start to fill, as the cables got filled up very fast. And it does work. Nice. Now you can see it does have the augment slots. It is a tier 1. And the neat thing about the fuel generator is if you slap on these upgrades over here, which is the efficiency add-on, it actually makes it more efficient with the fuel, which in this case means you get more and more power from the same amount of fuel. If you add the speed add-ons, you get more per tick. So you know, it's a balance. Right now, we're just focused on meeting our production needs, which, checking this guy, you can see, as long as I'm producing at least 250, our AE system will run, and then we need enough to power all of our Oritech machines, which in this case seems like it's working nicely. Now we can turn this guy back on to keep making fluxite. And I believe this guy, if we put in a stock card, it's gonna keep eating our fluxite as we get it. But since we're producing more fluxite compared to crude, that should be fine, because eventually the centrifuge will fill up with 64 fluxite, and then just store the rest in the AE system. And now to make fluxite production more efficient, I'm making ourselves 1 yield add-on. I don't think this guy comes in other flavors. Yield, no, it looks like it's just the 1, and as you can see here, it doubles the byproduct amount, in the Fragment Forge increases the block breaking power in the block destroyer and the Enderic laser. So if we go ahead and slap this guy right over here. Where's the upgrade go? Oh right, it's on the bottom. Yeah, not a big fan of that. It's a little annoying. And now we should be getting twice as much. Not bad. You can see here the details, range 1, fortune 1, yield add-on count. Oh, so if I add 2 more yield add-ons, the fortune goes up to 3, and then you get more. So essentially we could go up to 4 fluxite per operation. You just need to add 2 more, which will take the expansion box, which we don't have yet. As you can see here, I need this guy, and we're missing, actually, the only thing we're missing is duradium, which we can actually make, as it's just adamant and netherite. Or in this case, in the alloying machine, platinum and netherite. How do you get platinum? I don't think I have any platinum. Platinum. Yeah, I don't have any platinum. I wonder, is there a platinum geore? Block of platinum geore. Budding platinum. You need platinum for it. Okay, so obviously there has to be a way to get it. I'm just not quite sure. And as you can see here, we're completely full up on turbo fuel, which is why I love turbo fuel in the fuel generator. It's such a great mid-game option for RF generation. And it scales pretty well too, because all you have to do to scale it is add on add-ons. And that's it. So the more Oritech you do, the more your energy production scales with it. And then once we get into the really big stuff where we need a lot more power, then we can pivot into the nuclear reactor. Because this is like the big Joe of energy production, which I believe even right here, resources, power generation. The fuel generator is mid-game, nuclear reactor, late game. So let's see if this works. Flux gate items go in, flux thing, processing unit, and make the flux gate. Okay, it does work. So the thing about Oritech, the machines don't auto-output by default, so you do need some other way to do the logistics. And since I still don't have logistical pipes, I just use the accessive utilities item transfer node, and it works. You just have to pipe it back into an ME pattern provider somewhere, and it works. One flux gate. So now that we can make flux gates, why do you give me one after the fact? That's so weird. But now that we have flux gates, we can make the atomic forge. Sorta. We need 2 flux gates, plastic, Enderic compound, but the main thing is going to be sky replica ingots, which we don't have. So we have sky stone, we have charged certus. We don't have any lava. I'm going to have to put lava into the system. But we're going to need replica, and I believe there's a way to make more replica. I just have to find it. Okay, so it turns out there's a very convoluted way to make replica ingots. So, we're going to put lava into the dripper, which we can't because it's full of water. Put lava into the dripper. Then, put a void crystal catalyst. So now it's going to drip lava onto the catalyst and hopefully turn it to kiwi. And there you go, kiwi. So now that we have kiwi, we can take this and we can convert the kiwi into deep slate replica by dripping polymorphic fluid on top of it. And polymorphic fluid is from Just Dire Things with polymorphic catalyst and water, which will take a little bit of blaze gold and some other stuff, which is very easy. So there's our blaze gold, and what was the other stuff? Netherwort. I think I have some in here actually. No, I think I moved it all. Now come out over here and make some polymorphic catalyst. Now if we grab some water, and I think this slot is safe, we can do that. Then this has lava in it, right? No, it's empty. So now we can put that in there. Now we can drip the kiwi with polymorphic fluid. And then if I take our temporal pouch, should be able to speed this up, make it go faster, to turn the kiwi into deep slate replica ore. And then, if you remember our good friend, the model framework, we can right-click this guy to make a deep slate replica ore data model. And now that we have this, we can make ourselves a simulation chamber. Prediction matrices are very cheap. Throw that in here, and now it'll start making deep slate replica ore. Or in this case, it's going to produce, what is it called? Oh no, that is what it's called. Deep slate replica ore prediction that we can throw in the loot fabricator to make more replica. So that should solve all the replica issues. And now we can program the crystal assembler, or in this case, we could actually make the reaction chamber now. Because the issue before is we didn't have enough power. As you can see, this guy takes 200,000 FE to run, and I think our total power supply, look at this. Yeah, it's an entire energy cell, so I do need to make these dense. So I'm going to make that real quick. This guy, this one. Yeah, it just needs two things I can make pretty easily. So now before I make the sky replica ingots here, I'm just waiting on the craft here for a dense energy cell, because it can store 1.6 million AE, which is going to be needed, as to craft a full stack of sky replica takes 200,000 FE, which is about, like, actually that's like 66% of our total energy supply right now. So we're going to need a pretty big upgrade before we can start using it. Now, with the reaction chamber, we can also make a full stack of charged Certus at a time, because I'm currently waiting on the charger to do it. But, as you can see there, it takes 1.3 million FE to do, which we literally do not have. So, it's not possible. Yet. Alright, so now that the energy cell is storing power, we should be able to produce our sky replica ingots in order to make the atomic forge. So now if I hit Control Craft, we need Skystone. I'm out of Skystone? And there we go. 64 Sky Replica Ingots and 1 Atomic Forge. Quest completed. Now let's see, where should I put this guy? I need a little bit more room over here. And then I could put it like over this. That does work. But now that we have the Atomic Forge, we took a very, very roundabout way to produce very simple mechanism items. But hey, this is probably the most I've done with Oritech intentionally that I wasn't forced to do. And we also get some advanced machine cores, which I believe are good enough to build this guy, because he takes 8, they give us 4. Okay, so it's not quite enough, but it is a good amount. So let's set up this guy. So now we can place this guy right over here. Yeah, that's a fine spot. Build him. That's the wrong spot. Bam, bam. And the Atomic Forge is made. The final thing in Oritech. In terms of like, well, not technically, not even in terms of overall production, because the particle accelerator has even more stuff you can use to craft it with. But this is like the main one to get you to those final stuff. And I mostly need it because now we need to upgrade our basic universal cables. They just don't provide enough power. Now, as you remember, to power the Atomic Forge, you actually need Enderic lasers, which is why I'm building it over here. So we actually need to expand this just a little bit. So let me grab this because I want to leave a slot for the expansions. So what I actually want to place these is over here, like so. Yep, that's good. And then we want to place, not like that, one here, and then one here. That's probably fine. There, bam, bam. Build. Now if we grab our target designator, and right-click this, they're now going to point at it, and they should only fire when this is crafting something. I believe that's how it works. Now the neat thing about the Enderic laser, you can also use these to power other Oritech machines above what they can actually accept. It's mostly only useful though for the enchanting, the soul enchanting, so you can get crazy levels of enchants. But to power anything using this guy, you just have to do it. As you can see here, it doesn't store too much, but we can actually use this to make, oh wait, infused alloys over here in the alloying machine. So is that one. And this one. Huh. Then what did I need this for? Well, you need it for Oritech stuff. Industrial aluminum for modern industrialization. Oh, if you want to make control... Oh, I needed control circuits for things. Oh, for the logistical pipes. That's what I needed it for. Okay, so we can actually do that first. That's what it was. I was like, wait a minute. Why did I craft for you? Oh, it's a piglin. I was like, wait a minute. Why do I need this? I was thinking of the logistical things. You need basic control circuits, which take this. So osmium and redstone. So now if we grab some osmium, grab a stack, and grab some redstone, we can come over here, and if we throw these inside, it gets to work. So you can see the recipe takes 5000 RF, and it charges every 2 seconds because we have 2 Enderic lasers powering it. So it does it very fast. As you can see, it is starting to stutter with the energy though, because I think we just drained the entire battery. Because our battery is essentially just the universal cable, which is storing 160,000. But this guy could go a little better. We just need to upgrade the cabling, which we can now do because I realized I could do it in the alloying machine. Alloy. So now if we just make some infused, which is just iron and redstone, and throw it into the assembler. Oh, that's the wrong thing. And throw it into the foundry. We can make some alloy and then upgrade our cabling to store more power, have some more power production, make everything run so much more smoothly. Now for now, that is where I'm going to end it, oh, wrong thing, with Oritech, mostly because I don't have much experience with the soul enchanting nor the tainted refinery. And the particle accelerator has a lot of stuff on its own that could warrant its own episode, but I think I'll just show like the quick notes version. Don't need to waste a whole episode on it, and then maybe we'll get to the nuclear reactor, because those are all like pretty complicated on their own that could take a bit more explaining. But for now, thanks to our increased energy production, we can now do bigger and better crafts, more efficient crafts, and do bigger stuff, which is great. This is going to set us up for the Ender Dragon fight to make it quite the cakewalk. Might not even need to do any Apotheosis upgrades anyway, but I might still do it regardless. But this episode has gone on quite long enough. I'm your host, Hamas28, and I'll see you all next time.